I want to thank Senator Grassley and Senator Leahy and Chairman Leahy for their leadership in this area. And I think it's especially fitting that this is our first hearing with you as ranking member, because you have been a leader in this area for so long. And I enjoyed serving on this committee with Senator Sessions as the ranking member, but I'm very much looking forward to you in this capacity, Senator. Mr. Brewer, as you may know, I have a long-standing interest in making sure that we hold government contractors to a higher standard. If the federal government chooses to contract with a company, we have an obligation to make sure that that contractor is not defrauding American taxpayers, and that means vigorously investigating allegations of contractor fraud, but it also means thinking twice before we award a company that has been indicted or convicted of fraud new contracts. I don't know about you, but if I hired a contractor to work on my house and he charged me a ton of extra money for work he didn't do, I wouldn't use that contractor again. And I would make sure that my friends knew not to use them either. It seems like the same should be true of government contractors. As chair of the National Procurement Fraud Task Force, what are you doing to make sure that federal agencies are collaborating on suspension and debarment actions of contractors convicted of procurement fraud? How can we make sure that contractors that we know we can't trust are not awarded new contracts?
Thank you, Senator. As an aside, the National Procurement Fraud Task Force has been folded into the Financial Fraud Task Force, but we're still covering it. Obviously, the Department of Justice itself is not the debarring official, and so we cannot make that decision. But of course, what we are is absolutely transparent in our cases. And I've had many meetings with IGs and in the IG community. We value them tremendously. So ultimately, after we pursue these corporations, and I'd like to think we're doing it aggressively and we're doing it in a targeted manner, that information is there for the debarring officials. I agree with your premise that if you commit a fraud against the United States, you shouldn't have a right to continue doing business. But ultimately, that part of it is not our decision. That's the part of the department or agency that actually provides the contract, and they all have debarring officials who make those ultimate decisions.
Okay, well, I can see this isn't your ultimate decision, but I am particularly worried that federal agencies are giving a free pass to large contractors. According to the Project on Government Oversight's records, over the past 15 years, there have been only 5 suspension actions and 0 debarment actions of the government's top 100 contractors, which receive 55% of all contracts. And I think part of the problem is that we're too dependent on a handful of very large contractors, particularly when it comes to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that too many contractors maybe now are too big to fail.
Senator, I share your concern, and like you, feel very deeply about procurement fraud, so much so that you may know that I literally have 3 prosecutors on detail from the Inspector General in charge of Iraq who literally work in my fraud section. We're prosecuting fraud in Iraq and in that area and in Afghanistan, and so I agree with you that those numbers seem very low.
How frequently is DOJ putting in settlements specific language that can be used to prevent debarments and suspensions?
I don't think we ever do, Senator. I don't think we would do it for the very reasons you said. I don't think the Department of Justice believes that's our role to determine whether it should be debarred, someone should be debarred or not, because we don't have the expertise of the department or agency who has to decide how valuable this particular contractor is.
Okay, I'm running out of time. I just want to ask something about return on investment, because the FBI estimates that healthcare fraud may be as high as 10% of all healthcare expenditures, which means this type of fraud may cost the nation more than $220 billion annually. That might be high, and you were able to recover $2.5 billion from healthcare fraud judgments and settlements this year. I was wondering if, I think there's some estimate that for every dollar invested in investigations, we get back $17. And what I'm wondering is, would you like more resources, and can they be used to get can that return on investment mean that we're actually reducing our deficit by spending more money on
Right.
these
Well, Senator, I will say this. I mean, our budget in the criminal division is a bit under $200 million. Now, we do get other monies that are targeted to us, but we were responsible for approximately well over $2 billion just by ourselves and $3.4 billion working with other U.S. attorneys. So I think there's absolutely no question that we, the Civil Division, the Department, are a remarkable return on investment. We are being very efficient and targeted in our work, and will continue to be, and we're being very aggressive about getting dollars back returned to the U.S. Treasury.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. West.
That's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.